Upon waking up, he arrived at the mortal cultivation world and was reborn as Li Feiyu with the same name and surname. Faced with the scarcity of Shouyuan and the dilemma of having no spiritual roots, relying on the ability to attribute all data, we embark on the immortal path of longevity. I once pierced through the 6 paths of the demon sect in Tiannan. He also once intimidated the stars in the chaotic starry sea. I once cast the name of the god of killing in the human world, and also made countless tribes praise my true name in the spiritual world. In the immortal realm, I am the heavenly Tao. In this life, I personally promote the 3 realms of celebrities, spirits, and immortals. Murder, arson, fierce rain, it's raining. This book is also known as The Attribute of Li Feiyu's Immortal Cultivation Life, and Li Feiyu is my Han Li Hao big brother, even with extra money. Keywords of the novel. Mortal. Me, Li Feiyu, Attribute Cultivation. No pop-ups, mortal. Me, Li Feiyu, Attribute Cultivation. Download the complete TXT collection, mortal. Me, Li Feiyu, Attribute Cultivation. Latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. First Encounter with Han Li. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. First Encounter with Han Li. Pain. Deep bone marrow pain. Cold. It's as cold as falling into an ice cellar. Just as Li Feiyu felt like he was about to die, the pain of bone scraping slowly dissipated. After a while, when he opened his eyes, he saw a dark and handsome young man staring at him with big eyes. Seeing him wake up, the dark and unruly young man shook his head slightly and exhaled, "I thought you couldn't hold out this round of marrow-pumping pills." Extract marrow pills. Listening to the words, Li Feiyu only felt a buzzing sound in his mind, and a memory flooded into his mind. Li Feiyu. 7 Xian Men. Thunderbolt Blade. Li Hu. Qijue Hall. It seems like a long time has passed, and it's like a blink of an eye. Li Feiyu pursed his lips and looked back at the dark and unremarkable young man in front of him. A name popped out of his mind very clearly, Han Li. Time travel. He traveled to the world of mortal cultivation and became Li Feiyu with the same name and surname. And it was at the moment when Han Li rushed away after the end of the competition due to the attack of the marrow-pumping pill and fell to the ground by the creek, where he was saved. Don't look at me like that. Han Li frowned as he couldn't see through the sudden change in Li Feiyu's gaze. He pinched the pink and foul-smelling marrow-extracting pill and said lightly, "If you no longer take this pill now, I can ask Dr. Mo to prepare another secret medicine for you. Although it may not save your entire life, it can still allow you to live for an additional 20.30 years, but your martial arts skills will not be preserved. If you continue to take this pill, based on your symptoms today, you can still live for 5 or 6 years at most. Of course, in these years, your martial arts will progress faster and faster than your current pace of improvement. Since you dare to take this secret medicine, you must also be a resolute and decisive person. You can decide on your own body. Would you like to take this pill or throw it away?" Listen to Han Li's words. Li Feiyu raised his eyebrows, seemingly not expecting to encounter his first choice in life when he had just crossed over and was still in shock. Soon. He realized he had no choice at all. At this moment, he was wearing silver needles that looked like tiny hairs. This is Han Li's pen, temporarily suppressing the backlash of the marrow-pumping pill. Once it is removed, backfire will rise again. As for whether we can make it through, the original work did not mention it, but since he was reborn and bent down, it indicates that he may not be able to withstand it. Li Feiyu didn't say a word, just raised his hand. "Anyway. Little life first. Since we have traveled through time, we can only live one day at a time, and the rest can only be explored slowly." Han Li didn't seem surprised to see it. "Hand over the marrow-extracting pill in your hand." Li Feiyu swallowed it down, and the method of taking it in his memory should be taken at the right time. He sat up straight as usual, closed his eyes and crossed his knees, using the internal mental technique of the 7 profound schools, the Xinjiang force, to refine the power of the marrow-pumping pill. A warm current washes away the pain that penetrates deep into the bone marrow and transforms into a rolling internal energy. As Han Ligang just said. After taking it, his skills improved again. Unfortunately. This is the world of cultivating immortals. No matter how high your internal skills are, they are of no use. When everything returns to its original feeling. Li Feiyu opened his eyes and looked at Han Li, who was standing on the side, also looked over. The two eyes met in the air. Han Li stood expressionless, his heart full of ups and downs. He had thought that if he took action this time, once the other party recovered, he might choose to kill and silence them. But he still took action. On the one hand, after seeing Li Feiyu's face, I feel that this senior brother Li is not ungrateful and ruthless. Of course, I also understand that facial expressions cannot be accurately calculated. So Han Li pressed the hidden iron tube on his sleeve without showing any trace. On the other hand, without a doubt, Li Feiyu's strength will definitely become stronger after taking the marrow-pumping pill. I helped the other party this time and owe them such a big favor. In the future, if you encounter trouble, you may ask Li Feiyu for help. With such thoughts in mind, Han Li finally took action. Ideas belong to ideas. If senior brother Li really wants to kill himself and silence him, then he can only protect himself by turning around. Han Li waited expressionlessly. But it was discovered that Li Feiyu across from him, with a hint of surprise and joy in his eyes, it doesn't look like we're going to kill someone and silence them. This breathed a sigh of relief in his heart. Han Li. Level. Qi refining level 3, spirit root. Wood, water, fire, earth, age. 14, Shouyuan. 83, skill. Changchun skill, level 3, divine power. None. Looking at Han Li's head, a row of attribute data appeared like a game. Li Feiyu is hard not to be surprised and delighted. Because this means, the arrival of the golden finger. He lowered his head and glanced at himself. Li Feiyu. Level. Martial arts master, spirit root. None, gold, wood, water, fire, earth, age. 14, Shouyuan. 27, internal skill. Xinjiang force, 5 layers, martial arts. Thunderbolt saber technique, perfect, available attributes. 0, different information bar. Ling Zhen, internal skills and martial arts all have a small red plus sign behind them, which is obviously the same as the game he played before crossing. You can use attribute points to force improvement. You can even add some spiritual roots. This ability is undoubtedly outrageous, but for him, it is like a life-saving straw. Having a spiritual root, he can embark on the path of immortality and pursue longevity. The short life brought about by the marrow-pumping pill, although still urgent, at least there is a way to solve it, not to wait for death. Senior brother Li, you don't have to worry about me telling others your secret. You can tell at a glance that I'm not a talkative person. If you're really worried, I can make a poisonous oath. You should be able to see that I don't know much martial arts. If you find out I've broken my promise, you can easily kill me. Han Li on this side, seeing Li Feiyu silent for a long time, looked inexplicably excited and calmly took the initiative to speak. Upon hearing this, Li Feiyu's excitement for the appearance of physical attributes and abilities slightly restrained. He looked at Han Li. Recalling the original plot in my mind. If he remembers correctly, although Han Erlangzi is showing weakness now, in fact, he has been hiding behind the counterattack. Think of this. He glanced at Han Li's cuffs. Han Li, who had been staring at him all along, suddenly let out a thud in his heart as cold as water. What's the use of a poisonous oath? At this moment, Li Feiyu spoke lightly and said, "Give me a secret not to kill you." Only a secret of mutual equivalence is the foundation for building trust between us. Upon hearing this, Han Li's eyes flashed a hint of surprise. How could Li Feiyu not believe in the poisonous oath and instead choose to demand his secret? Just secret. What secrets can he have? Not right. Han Li's mind flashed over a small bottle with a faint light green color all over it, and leaves printed on the surface of the bottle. 4 years ago, I accidentally got a strange little bottle. That's something he has never said to anyone, even Mo Lao. Li Feiyu saw Han Li, who was hesitating, with a proud smile on his lips if he remembers correctly. In the original work, it was the first time he saved someone, and he was directly held back by Li Feiyu with a knife on his neck, causing Han Lao's personality to change. It can be said that Li Feiyu gave a lesson to the young Han Li. Although he has traveled and arrived, he really doesn't want to change this lesson, just some changes in the way and wrist. He wants to get some tuition fees. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Changchun Merit. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2 Changchun Merit. After hesitating for a while, Han Li let out a bitter smile and said, I still wet the bed when I was 10 years old. Is that okay? Unless at the last moment. Otherwise, he really wouldn't want to say that magical little bottle. But apart from that, overall, where did he come from, a 14-year-old child who grew up quietly in Shinshu Valley? Faced with Han Li's secret, Li Feiyu rolled his eyes. Whether it's fabricated or not, it's not what he wants. It's okay if there's no secret. You can keep the baby you like in my hands. Li Feiyu pretended to be casual and casually said, Don't worry, after we get to know each other and trust is established, I will definitely give it back to you. Han Li shook his head again. This time, there was not even a moment of hesitation. Upon seeing this, Li Feiyu let out a sigh in his heart. He understood that Han Li would not say anything about the small bottle. If I force myself on the opposite side is the son of the plain, who also has a trump card, 5 poison water. This is something that scared Mo Jiren into cursing loudly. It's really not certain who lives or dies. So. We can only settle for second best. You just said you can ask Dr. Mo to help me dispense medicine. Dr. Mo is your master. Li Feiyu pretended to ask a rhetorical question. Han Li didn't shake his head this time, hesitated and nodded, choosing to admit it. Perhaps, I also want to feign tiger power and add a bit of deterrence. That's easy to handle. Li Feiyu grinned and said, Dr. Mo is a distinguished guest who even the sect leader respects. As his disciple, you must also know his secret and unique skills. If you tell me your unique skills, it can be considered as giving me the secret. Han Li was stunned by these words. Li Feiyu smiled slightly. If the small bottle doesn't work, then Changchun Gong is the tuition fee he wants. At this moment, Han Li must still not understand that it seems useless, far less valuable than the nameless mnemonic of Xingyang strength. Once understood, it will definitely not be handed over easily. But now, that's not necessarily the case. Although he can still make close friends with Han Li like the original work. Then, proceed with the routine. But at that time, Han Li, who had experienced the crisis of Mo Lao's seizure, was already more mature and may not have had this opportunity. Not following a routine according to the original work, Han Li knew about Changchun Gong, and after learning about cultivating immortality, he never mentioned these things in front of his good friend. This is not to blame Han Li, after all, Mo Lao's experience and Zhang Tai's ending are too exciting. It is normal to be unwilling to test human nature and maintain pure friendship. So, at this moment it is undoubtedly the best opportunity for tricks. Li Feiyu thought and deliberately put on a stern face, if you keep pushing and blocking, then it won't be interesting, junior brother. Han Li hesitated repeatedly, and in the end shoulders collapsed, revealing a bitter smile. Mo Lao taught me this, and I don't know what the name is. Senior brother Li, to be honest, don't give too much hope. The true qi generated by this unnamed mnemonic is not as powerful as the Zhenyang force, and it can even be said to be powerless. And this technique is quite strange, not suitable for everyone. In the end, Han Li used Li Feiyu's charcoal and cloth to write the first layer of the nameless mnemonic. He was also very honest and happy to speak out the drawbacks, seemingly unwilling to cause any other misunderstandings. If you don't believe it, you can even ask Mo Lao. At the end, Han Li seemed to have broken the jar and was too lazy to defend himself. Li Feiyu just smiled and raised his hand to pat Han Li's shoulder, saying, "What nonsense. Now we are good brothers who know each other's roots and depths. How could I not believe you? Han Li, If you encounter any trouble in the future, come to me as soon as possible." Li Feiyu was very cheerful, with a majestic and righteous appearance. Anyway, Han Li is the son of the plain. It's better to be brothers and friends than enemies. Forget it, you're all in trouble yourself. Han Li chuckled and said, "You are an ordinary protector disciple, but you are overshadowed by a large number of disciples from the sect leader, elders, and even sect leaders. How could you live a good life for you? Of course, I don't want to manage your affairs, nor can I manage them. However, I can help you alleviate the pain caused by taking marrow-pumping pills." Li Feiyu listened and smiled. Familiarize oneself with the original work. He naturally understood that Han Li's initial intention of rescuing people was not simple. Now actively offering help to alleviate pain, and the same goes for it. Han Li wants him to remember human relationships. Taking medicine from Han Li time and time again means deepening human relationships and making it unforgettable. Erlangzi. Actually, it has slowly changed. I am no longer the foolish person who left Qingniu town. Li Feiyu showed great joy in full cooperation and said, "Really? Han Li wants to make friends, and he also wants to make friends with Han Li. This friendship can be considered a two-way journey. Why am I lying to you if I have nothing to do?" Han Li Bai glanced at Li Feiyu. Of course he had this kind of prescription to alleviate people's pain. This is something he specifically researched for Zhang Tai during his free time, which can significantly reduce the body's perception of pain and is very effective. That's great. Good brother, I have taken note of this favor. Li Feiyu continues to further strengthen the relationship. Han Li seemed unable to accept this kind of numbness, so he quickly spoke up and said, "My name is Han Li, and I am a disciple of Dr. Mo's lineage. Your martial arts are so high, just call me Han Jr. brother." "That's a lot." Li Feiyu sneered in his heart and couldn't help but say, "We are brothers. You call me Yu Gu, and I call you Xiao Han." Han Li. Tomorrow afternoon, come and wait for me at the entrance of Shenshou Valley. I will prepare the medicine and deliver it to you. Dr. Mo is not at home now, so I don't want outsiders to enter the valley casually. Han Li changed his tone, dropped a sentence, and quickly ran away. It seems like one step too late is about to be eaten. Li Feiyu saw Han Erlangzi running away with a smile, and then slowly raised a few lines of black cloth in his hand. Changchun Gong. As for authenticity, Li Feiyu's hope is true. Otherwise Li Feiyu watched as Han Li disappeared in the direction. Put away the cloth. Also walking back. I have mastered the technique, which can be considered as barely taking half a step the remaining half step. How to obtain attribute points and add some spiritual roots. Without spiritual roots, one cannot cultivate. This is common sense. At least in the human world. Li Feiyu actually knows that there is another way, Emperor Tianyuan. Emperor Tianyuan, one of the 7 demon kings of the spiritual realm, is unable to cultivate without a spiritual root and can only practice the diamond technique to become a body refiner. This is also a unique phenomenon in the spiritual realm. Even mortals without spiritual roots are not worthless. At least they can gain a certain level of combat power by practicing the diamond technique. It is said that when the diamond technique reaches its peak, it can even withstand the power of the alchemy stage cultivator without falling behind. Of course. In the end, Emperor Tianyuan used a secret technique to replenish his spiritual roots and achieve dual cultivation of the Dharma and body. The spiritual energy in the human world is thin. There is no diamond technique either. Li Feiyu is not sure if he can follow the path of a cultivator. He didn't dare to gamble on the short-lived Shouyuan. The top priority is to follow the ordinary spiritual root path and become a chi refiner, which is the best choice. Cute new books, seeking recommendations, seeking follow-up, seeking evaluations, whimpering, end of this chapter. Chapter 3. Attribute Points. Seeking recommendation, seeking investment, you are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3 Attribute Points. Seeking recommendation, seeking investment, run a long distance in one breath. Han Fangfang just stopped, feeling the cold sweat on his back and shaking his head with lingering fear. This time was really risky. I still didn't consider it thoroughly enough. I must learn from this lesson and stop doing such a thankless and difficult thing. Others' lives and deaths are their own business, it's none of their own business. Without sufficient benefits and complete assurance, I will never take action again to save others next time. He made a fierce determination in his heart. After all, he still paid the tuition fee, which was the negative consequence of his first attempt to save others, or did it lead to his bad habit of not getting up early for no benefit? The originally simple nature has also been completely abandoned. Although he has not become any villain, he is still far from being loyal and kind. Hanli thought about it and then remembered the unnamed mnemonic he had handed over. He did not cheat. I'm not afraid, I just feel it's unnecessary. After putting in a lot of effort, I just want Li Feiyu to accept the favor. Although Li Feiyu became a master by relying on the pill of marrow extraction, his vision and knowledge are still extraordinary. If he discovers fraud, it will be a waste of effort. As for imparting this unique skill to Mo Lao, I handed it over. Remembering the vague estrangement between Mo Lao and him, it doesn't seem like a normal master-disciple relationship. Han Li didn't feel much guilt either. Besides, since Li Feiyu still takes the marrow-extracting pill, in these last few years, his martial arts will only improve and his lifespan will also become shorter. As long as we live in peace with each other in these few years. He is not worried about leaking this anonymous mnemonic. Han Li thought about everything before and after, feeling that there was nothing missing, and then slowly walked back towards the direction of Shinshou Valley. Outer Blade Hall, Disciple Courtyard. Returning to his residence according to his memory, Li Feiyu also sorted out some information on the way. He and Han Li were in the same year, but not in the same batch of mountains. Also at the age of 14. Compared to Han Li, who has a family, he is just an orphan. Taking marrow-pumping pills, not for anything else, just to stand out. Without a doubt, he did indeed do it. Over the years, every time there has been a small competition, a big competition, and a loved disciple who surpasses all the protectors, they have also created the famous Li Hu bandit name in the martial arts world. However, the cost currently, there are only 13 years of lifespan left. Scattered work. You must scatter your energy. Although there is an opportunity to embark on the path of cultivating immortality, there are also golden fingers. A brief lifespan, or an uncertain time bomb. The scattered function increases lifespan, regardless of the number of years, it is good. Besides the pain that penetrates deep into the bone marrow like the marrow-pumping pill, even with the painkillers prepared by Han Li later, is definitely not comfortable. Of course. Li Feiyu was not in a hurry to dissipate his energy. Han Li is right. An ordinary protector disciple, however, is overshadowed by a large number of beloved disciples from the hall leader, elders, and even the sect leader. If he loses his martial arts, he really won't have a good life. Before he has the power to protect himself, he cannot easily dissipate his efforts. Cultivate immortality. Li Feiyu, sitting on the stone bench in the yard, let out a bitter smile and said, after circling around, I still want to cultivate immortality and solve all the problems. Think of this. He took out all the miscellaneous items he carried from his arms. Finally, 3 white porcelain bottles were placed on the stone table in front of me, Xingyang pill. Qi and blood powder. Extract marrow pills. Xingyang pill is a medicine that combines with Xingyang strength to enhance cultivation. Qi and blood powder is used to restore qi and blood, heal internal injuries, and as for the pill of extracting marrow, Li Feiyu shook his head slightly and looked at the 3 bottles in front of him. The increase in attribute points is definitely not for nothing. He needs to try and analyze one by one. So the first step is to start with the aspect of pills, which is currently the most convenient and simple. If it doesn't work, that's eating delicious or nutritious food. Not anymore, Li Feiyu's eyes flashed with a killing intent. Defeat monsters and upgrade. He can only go kill wild beasts, or people. I hope I won't take the extreme path of magic. Li Feiyu murmured, picked up the Xingyang pill, poured out one, and swallowed it. Close your eyes and cross your knees. The rolling heat is melting in the dantian. After a while, Li Feiyu shook his head with calm eyes, picked up the qi and blood powder, and poured it into his mouth. Still close your eyes. Suddenly. Li Feiyu suddenly trembled all over and opened his eyes suddenly, a black line flashed through my eyes. He was overjoyed and looked down at his arm, and the attribute bar reappeared. Li Feiyu. Level. Martial Arts Master, Spirit Root. None, Gold, Wood, Water, Fire, Earth, Shouyuan. 27, Internal Skill. Xingyang Strength, 5 layers, Martial Arts. Thunderbolt Saber Technique, Perfect, Available Attribute. 1, got it. Qi and Blood. It's an increase in Qi and Blood. Looking at the attribute points, then looking at the bottle of Qi and blood powder in front of me. Li Feiyu hesitated for a moment, grabbed it directly, and poured all the Qi and blood inside into the mouth. Strike while the iron is hot. The direction is not wrong, Li Feiyu once again felt the appearance of that attribute heat flow. The difference is, this time, it did not condense into attribute points. It seems that there is not enough qi and blood. I'm afraid that the attribute point I just obtained was born with just a slight difference in qi and blood. Li Feiyu, with some regret, analyzed the situation. However, he quickly focused on the next step. I looked solemnly at the courtyard door that had been tightly closed since I returned. Don't hesitate now. Focus all your attention on the red plus sign behind the spiritual root, imagine working hard to increase it. Hiss, the one character after the attribute point has become 0 again. And behind the spiritual roots, there has been a changed spirit root. Wood, false, gold, water, fire, earth. In an instant, Li Feiyu felt the atmosphere around him, adding a sense of spring vitality. This feeling persisted for a while, and after a while I don't know if it's a habit or a disappearance. Anyway, there's not much feeling. Feeling dantian and moving his body, Li Feiyu's eyes were strange. It's gone. There are no earth-shattering celestial phenomena. It's just so plain and indifferent. Li Feiyu. Level. Martial Arts Master, Spirit Root. Wood, Fake, Golden Water, Fire and Earth, Age. 14, Shouyuan. 27, Internal Skill. Xingyang Strength, 5 layers, Martial Arts. Thunderbolt Saber Technique, Perfect, Available Attribute. 0, look at the attribute list. Li Feiyu's gaze is still strange. Dan Lingzhen. Heavenly Spirit Root. Even if there is a fake behind it, it is still a single spiritual root. Is it so easy to be promoted to a genius? Li Feiyu doesn't even believe it himself. He took out the cloth. The first level mnemonic of Changchun Gong is recorded on it. The cultivation technique of wood attribute. That's also why he chose to light up the wood spirit root. This is his first time reading seriously, regardless of whether it is true or false. He needs to understand and read, otherwise he cannot distinguish the logic between true and false. If it's true, that requires more understanding. After a while, the sky is already dusk. Li Feiyu put away the cloth expressionlessly, pushed open the door, and left the small courtyard. Take big strides towards a certain direction. Before signing the contract, there is one change per day. Please ask for recommended votes, investment, and add one chapter for 100 investments. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Pinch Little Han. Seeking recommendation, seeking investment. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Pinch Little Han. Seeking recommendation, seeking investment. Senior Brotherly. Senior Brotherly, good. Senior Brotherly, where are you going? Wang Fugui. Level. Non-mainstream, spirit root. None, age. 16, Shouyuan. 72, internal skill. Jingyang force, level 2, martial arts. Fallen leaf saber technique. Zhang Ergu. Level. Non-mainstream, spirit root. None, age. 14, Shouyuan. 43, internal skill. Burning blood force, level 2, martial arts. Flame palm. Yi Chun. Level. Beginner in the martial arts world, spirit root. None, age. 23, Shouyuan. 67, internal skill. Jingyang force, level 3, martial arts. Wrapping silk hand, wave sword technique. Dancing rock. Level. Beginner in the martial arts world, spirit root. None, age. 17, Shouyuan. 63, internal skill. Berserker python force, level 4, martial arts. Dancing family sword technique. Looking at the information of the 7 disciples of the Xianmen sect on the road. Li Feiyu nodded calmly in response to these greetings. After all, he has achieved some status and many disciples know him. All the way down. Most of them are disciples who have not been beginners for long, and have also encountered protectors, elders, and so on. In terms of strength, it is probably not entering the mainstream, novice in the martial arts world, skilled in martial arts, somewhat famous, renowned master. After the master, he never saw it. But these are not the main points. The key is, no spiritual roots. Even the worst 5 spirit roots don't exist. Visible enough. Those who can embark on the path of cultivating immortality are all favored by heaven. He easily lit up his spiritual roots, even if it was a fake wooden spiritual root, but no matter how he calculated it, it could still be considered a heavenly blessing. Li Feiyu shook his head slightly. Gazing at the distant Jubao Hall. The 7 profound gates are divided into 2 gates, inner and outer. The 100 Forging Hall, 7 Ju Hall, Offering Hall, and Blood Blade Hall belong to the inner gates. The outer gate 4 halls are much inferior to the inner gate 4 halls, which are Feinio Hall, Jubao Hall, Sihai Hall, and Outer Blade Hall. When I first entered the mountain gate, I practiced in the 100 Forging Hall. Those who did not pass the assessment entered the Flying Bird and Jubao Halls, while those who passed the assessment entered the Outer Blade Hall. He is a disciple of the Outer Blade Hall. As for the 4 Seas Hall, that is a place to recruit renowned experts with exceptional skills. Feinio Hall is a place responsible for foreign affairs and miscellaneous matters. As the name suggests, Jubao Hall is a place for collecting treasures and is also open for exchange among disciples. All items in the treasure gathering hall, without exception, require achievement points to be exchanged. He has accumulated 372 points of achievement in the Outer Blade Hall and various competitions over the years. It can be used perfectly on the Blade Exchange for elixirs that replenish chi and blood. Exchange for 370 points, 37 bottles of blood tonifying pills. This is better than chi and blood powder, and also the best pill for replenishing blood and gas in Jubao Hall. Suddenly, there are only 2 points of achievement left. Li Feiyu didn't feel sorry, but he was a responsible disciple with a strange gaze. Li Feiyu ignored it and picked up the package, leaving the Jubao Hall. He went to the cafeteria again and had a good meal. Just now, satisfied with the sunset, I returned to my small yard. Close the door. Turn on the oil lamp. Li Feiyu closed his eyes and rested for a while, then took out a bottle of nourishing blood pills from the package and poured out one. Look up and swallow. In one breath, about 5 bottles. When the nosebleeds flowed out for no reason, Li Feiyu just stopped. He knew that this was an omen of reaching the peak. Continuing on may not replenish chi and blood, and may even harm oneself. It seems that it's not enough to just keep eating, it still depends on digestion. Li Feiyu let out a murmur and reluctantly began to cross the first night of crossing over early in the morning. Li Feiyu took 3 more bottles and felt his chi and blood rolling before stopping. I exercised my muscles and bones. As time approached, I hastily ate the steamed buns and fruit juice sent by the miscellaneous disciples and went to the Divine Hand Valley. Yesterday he made an appointment with Han Li to meet at the exit of Shinsho Valley at noon. Wearing a silver-white robe and carrying a black long sword. Compared to Han Erlengzi, who is relatively dark and unremarkable, Li Feiyu's appearance is undoubtedly good. He looked up at the sky, determined the time, and then turned his gaze to the entrance and exit of Shinsho Valley. Like exploring, wanting to see what's inside. Noon has already passed. Han Li hasn't come yet. But it triggered the memory of Li Feiyu being late this time is not surprising. Because Han Li is experimenting with the miraculous use of the Zhangtian bottle. Speaking of which, it is also fate. On the first night they met, the small bottle that Han Li had picked up 4 years ago once again showed off its wonders and was seen by Han Li. Furthermore, research began and even experiments were conducted on the miraculous use of the Zhangtian bottle. Li Feiyu's eyes flickered, and just then, Han Li's dark figure appeared. 3 drinks for being late. Li Feiyu jokingly said, Xiao Han, tell me, what are you planning to be punished for? Han Li, Before Han Li could argue back, Li Feiyu spoke up again, how about this? You gave me the second layer of the anonymous mnemonic. After all, I have already cultivated the first layer. Words fall. As Han Li walked over, his face changed dramatically and his eyes showed shock. It's impossible. He grabbed Li Feiyu's wrist. Completely without the youthful maturity of the past. Han Li was really scared this time. This unnamed mnemonic, he spent more than half a year practicing the first level. Zhang Tai has never even cultivated it. Now. Li Feiyu only spent 1 night. Wait. I couldn't feel any signs of the cool, pseudo-true chi. Han Li looked up in confusion. Seeing Li Feiyu looking at him with a smile on his face. Han Liding's face turned black and he suddenly shook his hand. Xiao Han, it's just a joke. Look how scared you are. He is actually a time traveler, and Han Li is only a 14-year-old boy who has not yet experienced significant changes. Grasp it or just pick it up. You were so surprised. Li Feiyu smiled and said, it shouldn't be fake, can't it be cultivated? What I gave is true. Han Li angrily whispered, I worked hard to prepare painkillers for you, only to be late. Do you still suspect me? Li Feiyu smiled at the sight. Han Li's anger was clearly half true and half false. At least, being late is not because of preparing painkillers. Are you angry now? I've been waiting for you for so long, haven't I been angry? Li Feiyu approached with a smile and patted Han Li's back, saying, all right, thank you for your hard work. Han Li didn't answer, just slowly took out a palm-sized medicine bag from his arms and threw it to Li Feiyu with a flick of his hand. Before taking the marrow-pumping pill each time, rinse a spoonful of the medicine powder in the medicine bag with cold boiled water to alleviate your pain. Don't rush to thank me first. It's not too late to thank me again when this medicine really works, so as not to say I'm lying to you. Han Li snorted and said, besides, this is just a year's worth of medicine. I have run out of herbs now. When I have enough herbs, I will help you prepare a few more. Seeing that Han Li did not change his routine, I plan to use painkillers to maintain this emotional attachment. Li Feiyu nodded with a smile and said, thank you for your kindness. Anyway, if you have any trouble, feel free to come to me. Han Li listened without paying attention and prepared to turn around and leave. Xiao Han, wait. Just. Li Feiyu suddenly shouted and reached out to stop him. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Master. Seeking recommendation, seeking investment. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5 Master. Seeking recommendation, seeking investment. Han Li frowned. I feel like I'm in big trouble. This Li Feiyu is not at all like the rumored cool senior brotherly, but rather a mischievous ancient spirit that cannot slip away in autumn. Not cool at all. Faced with such a slippery old man, dealing with it feels like it's becoming increasingly difficult. Next time, it's not good. I definitely won't save anyone. Han Laoma's resentment is deepening. Facing the instigator of resentment, Li Feiyu, he can only feel helpless. It's saving people, it's leaking an unnamed mnemonic, it's painkillers. We can't just turn around and do it for nothing, and offend a capable guy for no reason, right? So what's going on? Han Li is very impatient. This is the first time he has shown such emotions. Li Feiyu smiled and took out his cloth, saying, I don't quite understand a few things. I would like to ask for your advice. Don't refuse me either. I just want to be more brilliant in the last few years of my life. Han Li fell silent, watching Li Feiyu with a bleak smile on his face. I let out a helpless sigh. Shake your head. Okay, but I can't guarantee that you will really learn. And, this thing. It's really useless, don't hold on to too much hope. Look at me. I have already practiced 3 levels, and I still look like my hands are powerless. Listen to Han Li relax. Li Feiyu nodded calmly, but his heart burst into laughter. Han Li, still young. At this time, perhaps it's the best time for the old demon to deal with it, right? I don't know if hundreds of years later, when I look back, will the old demon suddenly realize that he has been deceived all along. Li Feiyu is looking forward to that day. Han Li's appearance will definitely be very interesting. Han Li's repeated guarantees, coupled with guidance and clarification, basically, there is a high probability that the first layer of Changchun Kung Fu will truly succeed. Yesterday, after reading repeatedly, the doubts and confusion in my heart were also dispelled. Li Feiyu already had a rough idea in his mind. Han Laoma used to explore on his own, but Mo Jiren didn't even lead him in. Now, he is led in by Han Li, and his understanding and practice of Changchun Gong have been accelerated to a certain extent. Xiao Han. When all doubts are answered. Li Feiyu patted Han Li's shoulder and said, that's the same sentence. I'll find you, brother you, in case of trouble. Han Li, dot. By the way, I have one more thing. Dot. Han Li numbed and looked at Li Feiyu with a resentful expression in his eyes. In my heart, there is only regret. If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have saved Li Feiyu. A pure troublemaker. You are a disciple of Dr. Mo, and you should be able to refine pills to tonify qi and blood, right? Li Feiyu turned a blind eye to Han Li's grievances and said to himself, I'll spend money from you, at a premium. Don't refuse either, you don't lack it, isn't it that your family doesn't lack it? Brother wants to marry sister. In law, right? Brother wants to give a dowry, parents want to treat their illness, right? What about sister? Sister always wants to get married, won't she marry as a dowager? Can your mother. In law afford it? A series of words. Han Li, who wanted to refuse, fell silent. Li Feiyu patted Han Li on the shoulder and said, It's hard for us to go home after we go up the mountain. It's my intention to help us a little and pay a premium. Say it. Regardless of whether Han Lida agreed or not, Li Feiyu carried the painkillers and left gracefully. At a premium, it seems that he is at a loss. In fact, win thoroughly. A little ordinary silver, received a little gratitude from Han Li, and brought us closer together. Even made a good start to the transaction. It won't be easy to get pills from Han Li in the future. You can go for free without hesitation. Thinking of Han Li holding a palm-shaped vase, cultivating medicinal herbs, and working hard to refine pills, he also had to give himself a portion. Li Feiyu's smile was very bright. Heading towards the outer Blade Hall, the disciple courtyard walked back. Faced with occasional greetings from his disciples, Li Feiyu nodded calmly while checking everyone's information. I still haven't found anyone with spiritual roots. When he pushed open the door, a black line appeared in the yard, Zhao Ping. Level. Somewhat famous, spirit root. None, age. 61, Shouyuan. 68, internal skill. Xingyang force, level 6, martial arts. Thunderbolt saber technique, Thunderbolt slash, 8 steps to chase cicadas. Zhao Ping. A very unfamiliar information. But then, a related piece of information came to mind. This is his master. The original work only briefly introduced that Li Feiyu's master was an ordinary protector without even a name. But now, memories are reminding him that the man sitting in the yard, with some grayish hair in his 60s, is his master Zhao Ping. Flying rain. Zhao Ping over here listened to the commotion and looked over. Seeing the fierce rain, a hint of joy and worry appeared on the withered and yellow old face. I stood up straight and strode over. Master. Li Feiyu calmly responded to the cheap master in front of him. Zhao Ping walked over and grabbed his arms, asking with concern, Feiyu, what's wrong with you? What kind of injury did you get? Li Feiyu was stunned for a moment. Injured. Do you still want to keep it from me? The people from Jubao Hall have already told me that you exchanged 37 bottles of blood tonifying pills yesterday at once. If you hadn't been seriously injured, would you need to replenish so much qi and blood? On this side, Zhao Ping was a bit anxious and excited. Li Feiyu could feel Zhao Ping and seemed to value himself very much. Think about it, it's not surprising. Zhao Ping is quite old, just an ordinary protector. Taking him as an apprentice, he is actually a talented person. The younger generation in the sect are all in the top 20 experts. Can it not be cherished as a treasure like this? No wonder, upon hearing the situation, Zhao Ping came straight to the door with a worried expression in his eyes. Obviously afraid, my precious disciple has had an accident. Master, I'm not injured. I just recently felt a bottleneck, and I think it may be related to not being able to eat when I was young, resulting in a loss of blood and energy. I plan to replenish my qi and blood, warm and nourish my bones, and then challenge the bottleneck again. Li Feiyu is actually a traveler, lying when he opens his eyes and comes up with a barely roundable reason. Zhao Ping listened and confirmed again and again. I really couldn't see that Li Feiyu was injured, so I just breathed a sigh of relief. You do have some reason to think so. Zhao Ping is just an ordinary martial artist with a low level of vision. However, Zhao Ping seemed to have thought of something. He took out a porcelain vase from his pocket and handed it over, saying, "This is the Shouyuan, which is used to strengthen the foundation and nourish qi and blood. Take it." Shouyuan. Li Feiyu raised his eyebrows. He inquired about the exchange yesterday. The best way to replenish qi and blood in the Jubao Hall is the blood tonifying pill. If you want it to be better, there is only the Dharma Protector, an elder-level solid yuan pill that can be exchanged. Take it. Zhao Ping saw Li Feiyu motionless for a long time, thinking that he was a precious disciple and afraid to accept it. Stuffed it over. Carrying both hands on his back, he walked out. "I'll go and exchange a few more bottles for you." End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Heavenly Spirit Root, False Spirit Root. Seeking recommendation, seeking investment. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Heavenly Spirit Root, False Spirit Root. Seeking recommendation, seeking investment. Here are 8 bottles of Shouyuan. If you feel that your qi and blood are insufficient, you can actually practice the hard skills of beating muscles and bones. You have the qualification to enter the 7 Ju Hall and can choose a book, but don't get addicted, internal skills are the king. I took 3 months leave for you, and you haven't been working outside for the past 3 months. Please take good care of yourself. Zhao Ping, who has gone back and forth, left behind 8 bottles of Shouyuan and a few instructions. Just leave in a hurry. This old man with white hair seems to be not good at expressing care through words. Li Feiyu gave a bright smile. Looking at the 9 bottles of Shouyuan placed on the stone table. But in his mind, he was thinking of something else. The hard work of applying medicine to muscles and bones can strengthen one's own qi and blood. Or, to put it another way, is it possible to convert absorption into attribute points faster? Li Feiyu thought of this with clear eyes. I think this might be worth trying. But what? I didn't rush to the 7 Ju Hall, but continued to take a bottle of Shouyuan. It's not that I don't want to continue taking it. But I took 3 bottles of blood tonifying pills in the morning, with 1 bottle of Shouyuan topping 2 bottles of blood tonifying pills. The nosebleed has come down again. A trace of blood. Li Feiyu calmed down his qi and blood, and stabilized his emotions. Take out the cloth again. I read it again and again. Enter the secluded bedroom, sit cross-legged, with your 5 hearts facing each other. Start practicing the first level of Changchun skill. Changshan is like the sea, and the sunset is like blood. Li Feiyu walked out of the bedroom with a calm expression, stepped on the sunset, and sat on the stone bench in the yard. No movement. Not to mention the sense of qi, he doesn't even have the ability to perceive the presence of wood spirit qi. Obviously, false spiritual roots are fake, even if they are single spiritual roots or heavenly spiritual roots. Li Feiyu thought, thinking, and suddenly thought of a not very good situation. Don't end up, my fake heavenly spirit root is not as good as Xiao Hanzi's fake 4 spirit root. Whispering. The more Li Feiyu thinks about it, the more he thinks about it. Fake spiritual roots upgrade. If it's not a true spiritual root, then it's a fake spiritual root. In this way, his current cultivation talent is highly likely to be equivalent to the aptitude of the 5 spirit roots. This situation is obviously highly likely. However, there is also good news: he can upgrade his spiritual roots. The attribute points of qi and blood conversion have obviously become the top priority. Thinking of this, he didn't even eat any food and ran straight to the 7 Wonders Hall. Qijutang. This is one of the important places of the 7 profound gates. Similar to the Sutra Pavilion, but not everyone can enter. Unless above the level of protector, only outstanding disciples can qualify. He has participated in many major outdoor activities in recent years, making great contributions to the 7 profound men. In addition to gaining a prestigious reputation as a fierce tiger in the martial arts world, he has also been allowed to enter the 7 Absolute Hall on an exceptional basis to cultivate more advanced martial arts. The gatekeeper of Chijue Hall only glanced at him without stopping. Obviously, I have seen it before and know that he is qualified to enter the 7 Wonders Hall. Li Feiyu has a clear goal and only chooses hard work. Choose one book at a time. Huadang has already started, but he still hasn't found anything satisfactory. Suddenly, a name flashed through his mind: Elephant Armor Skill. The Elephant Armor Skill, taught by Mo Jiren to Zhang Tai, is a hard skill that can beat muscles and bones. And after reaching the 9th level of cultivation, people are like wearing treasure armor, but they are impervious to knives and guns, and water and fire are not close. Not to mention palm power and fist power, even precious swords and swords are difficult to be seriously injured. I will gradually possess the power of a giant elephant, with infinite power, capable of capturing evil wolves and tearing apart tigers and leopards, incredibly powerful. Compared to others, the hard skills collected in Chijue Hall are completely incomparable. Li Feiyu squinted slightly and muttered, "Xiao Han, senior brother Li won't treat you unfairly." Speaking, he turned his head and started strolling around the 7 Wonders Hall. Finally found a thick stack of secrets in the corner: eating dust, blinking sword technique. Pack it up directly, carry a bag of blinking sword technique, and leave the 7 Wonders Hall. Speaking of it, if he wants to scatter his energy, then blinking sword technique is also a reliance he can choose to rely on. However, at present, the priority of Elephant Armor Skill is before blinking sword technique. Furthermore, the cultivation of Elephant Armor Skill reaches the highest level. If it is as powerful as the introduction, it can also become his reliance after dispersing the skill. Shinshou Valley. Thinking about the experiment I did yesterday with a mysterious liquid in a small bottle. Hanli got up early in the morning and walked towards the direction of the medicine garden, wanting to observe if there were any changes in those few herbs. Before entering the medicine field, he suddenly smelled several strong medicinal fragrances. Hanli was slightly taken aback, but then his heart moved. Could it be he couldn't help but accelerate his pace and finally arrived in front of the few herbs emitting a strong fragrance? Are these the few herbs from yesterday? Hanli couldn't believe his eyes and slapped his slightly sleepy face with his hand until he felt some pain before stopping his self-abusive behavior. The leaves of this yellow dragon grass are a bit purple, and the bitter lotus flower has opened 9 petals. The skin of the forget worry fruit has turned black. Haha. Hanli couldn't help it anymore. Even if he could calm his heart like water, he couldn't help but laugh up in the sky. I'm lucky now. Overnight, these herbs that have only been medicinal for a year or 2 have all transformed into rare herbs that have been around for over a decade. Judging from the color of the leaves, the shape of the fruits, and the fragrance of the petals, they are all rare herbs that have matured for more than several years. Hanli carefully examined the herbs again and confirmed that they were completely consistent with what was stated in the medicinal book. They were truly precious medicinal herbs that had been around for many years. If we ripen herbs in this way, wouldn't we have as many precious medicinal herbs as we need? Moreover, herbs that we can't use can also be resold to others, so that we can earn back as much money as we earn. Hanli could no longer suppress the excitement in his heart and began to daydream. Even the more I think about it, the more excited I get, and the further I think about it, the more I feel like I've really picked up a treasure this time. He suddenly flipped several somersaults on the ground, and now he no longer had his usual calm demeanor, just like a 14-year-old boy expressing his excitement. Xiao Han. Just then, a loud shout suddenly rang out. Hanli, who was flipping over in fear, fell to the ground with a loud bang. Hanli covered his head and sucked in the air conditioning in pain. Xiao Han, your senior brother Li is here. Come out quickly. Listen to the shouting. Hanli, who had not yet recovered, was startled to death. Why did he come again? Han Li was both angry and annoyed. But more of a panic. He finally discovered the mysterious small bottle, which has such a magical effect. If it were exposed, Han Li quickly packed up. He has made up his mind not to tell anyone else about this mysterious little bottle even if he dies. There are many books on Mo Lao's bookshelf, and he has also read a lot, knowing the truth of blaming someone for their mistakes. Hurry up and tidy up. Make sure there are no other issues. Han Fengkai frowned and arrived at the entrance and exit of Shinshu Valley, watching Li Feiyu holding a large bag in one hand. Signed a contract, a new day, seeking recommendations and tickets, ready to transform into a second night beast. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Brothers, keep an eye on the facts. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Brothers, keep an eye on the facts. Why are you here again? Oh my, your bag. Shouldn't you be too happy and flip over, right? As soon as Han Li appeared, he became furious and began to question. Just Li Feiyu smiled lightly and said a sentence, easily causing Han Li to panic. I don't have it. Han Li's eyes dodged and quickly denied it. Where else is there the angry look just now? Li Feiyu smiled and didn't continue to provoke Han Li. He just spoke up and said, Shao Han, brother Yu is here to find you. It's a matter of business. As the topic shifted, Han Lisan watched with lingering fear as Li Feiyu smiled and chanted. I breathed a sigh of relief in my heart. Just pretend that the other party's blind cat collided with a dead mouse, otherwise how could they guess so accurately? I don't know, I really thought I was being monitored. Surprisingly, he even knew that he was flipping his head over in pleasure and falling into a swollen lump. I haven't refined the elixir you need to replenish qi and blood yet. Han Li spoke up, clearly believing that Li Feiyu was coming to buy pills. Let's not talk about buttocks today, no, not about pills. Li Feiyu waved his hand and threw the large bag he was carrying over. Han Li saw it and hurriedly hugged it. As soon as I entered my arms, I immediately felt the weight. Hard and sturdy. Han Li looked at Li Feiyu inexplicably. Do you want to become stronger? Li Feiyu, however, made a wild counter-question. Han Li was stunned for a moment. Do you want to have the martial arts of wandering the world like me? Han Li frowned. Do you want to have the ability to protect yourself? Han Li furrowed his brows and didn't want to play this word game with Li Feiyu anymore just. Next second. He instantly recalled Mo Lao's gaze in his mind. Behind the warm and caring gaze, there is occasionally a hint of unsettling greed and longing. Mo Lao looked at him, not like looking at someone, but more like looking at something. Han Li didn't know if he had misjudged. But that uncomfortable feeling has always been remembered by him. He remembered that he had learned an iron lesson from many books, which was that one must have a heart of harming others and a heart of preventing others. Whether Mo always wants to be detrimental to him or his own fallacy, it is not a bad thing for him to be more vigilant towards Mo. If we could further enhance our self-protection ability, it would seem great. Anyway, it's all to avoid getting hurt. He wouldn't take the initiative to bully his teacher and destroy his ancestors either. Thinking of this, Han Li frowned and looked at Li Feiyu in front of him, seeing the other person smiling and staring at him with determination. There's a feeling of being eaten. A feeling of discontent surged in my heart. This guy, why are you so confident about yourself? Remembering Mo Lao's advice not to practice other martial arts, especially internal skills. Han Li came up with a plan and said, yes, I do need it, but what I want to learn is the martial arts that can defeat the enemy without using true qi. Do you have this big burden? If not, take it back. After Han Li finished speaking, he was still a teenager, looking forward to Li Feiyu. I want to see the other party show signs of failure. He. But Li Feiyu did not let Han Li achieve his wish, but smiled and said, have you heard of blinking sword technique? After listening to the origin of blinking sword technique. The elder who established the blinking sword technique had his original profound martial arts skills that were accidentally discarded by his opponent during a martial arts battle in his prime, and he was no longer able to cultivate inner chi. Use your power to search for secrets from various sects and create them forcefully. And with this swordsmanship, when the 7 profound gates were almost destroyed, he killed all sides and saved the sect. Han Li was dumbfounded when he heard it. I can't believe it. The next second is heartbeat. This is also perfect for him. How's it going? Do you want to learn? The voice of Li Feiyu came with a hint of laughter. Han Li felt very uncomfortable, but he could only grit his head and nod. If that's really the case, of course I don't mind. The question is, are what you're saying true? Li Feiyu smiled and silently pointed to the package. Han Li saw it and seemed to understand what it meant. Put down the package, untie the knot. A stack of secrets with a yellow leather cover suddenly appeared before my eyes. Looking at the top corner of the cover, all were uniformly circled with a brush, with a few eye-catching golden characters such as, Kijutong Collection. Han Li was stunned for a moment, then his face changed dramatically and he stared at Li Feiyu. Are you crazy? You actually moved over half of the books in the 7 Wonders Hall collection. If this were discovered by the patrol guards, it would be difficult for both of us to die. Seeing Han Li's situation as average as in the original work, he was frightened and flew into a rage. There are a total of 74 books here, all of which are blink sword techniques. I lent it all out openly. Li Feiyu smiled and said, why are you so scared? Upon hearing this, Han Li was stunned again. He picked up a book skeptically and then looked at another one. Finally, there was silence. He glanced at Li Feiyu, too lazy to say anything more. His fingers gently pinched the slightly yellowed pages of the book, slowly flipping them open, and carefully browsing through the secret book in his hand. One book, one after another. Time flies by, and Han Li quickly browsed through the blinking sword manual books. Li Feiyu couldn't help but marvel at the speed of almost 10 lines at a glance, and couldn't help but marvel at the power of the cultivation technique Changchun Gong, even if it's just the most basic, even the most mediocre cultivation technique. It can also cause huge changes in people. Han Erlengzi has also become a genius-like character. At least, in the face of everything ordinary, it can be called a genius. Think of this. Li Feiyu became increasingly excited. He can also practice. That means that these changes will also happen to him. It's been a long time. When the sky had already darkened, Han Cube woke up from his realization. Li Feiyu, sitting lazily under the shade of a tree, looked at him with a smile, and Han Li's eyes looked very complicated. Because Li Feiyu can really eat him. Han Li feels that this blinking sword technique is really suitable for him. There is even a customized illusion. How about it? It really suits me. Listening to Han Li's response, Li Feiyu smiled not surprisingly. At this moment, he looked at Han Li. Knowing that at this time, I would generously give as a gift and say something like, brother, you specially gave it to you. Perhaps we can suddenly gain Han Li's favor and even gratitude. Then, in a few more days, finding an excuse to claim elephant armor skill will only be easy. It's just that. Li Feiyu quickly stifled this idea. Because he understands that this is a bit of bullying an honest person. Previously, he held on to Han Li. Even if the old demon remembered it in the future, it would only be considered a childhood anecdote and not too much of a concern. But this time, if we really follow a plan, once Han Li remembers, he will understand that he was bullied as an honest person. After thinking it through. Even if it's not an enemy, it will never be a friend again. More importantly, Li Feiyu doesn't like to bully his friends by treating their innocence or friendliness as honesty. My dear brother, keep an eye on the accounts. Xiao Han, I won't be polite to you either. Li Feiyu touched his nose and smiled, I've inquired about the situation in your Divine Hand Valley. 2 years ago, there was a disciple named Zhang Tai in your Divine Hand Valley who suddenly defected. P.S. Seeking recommendations, requesting votes, ***, end of this chapter. Chapter 8. Li Feiyu indeed has a problem. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Li Feiyu indeed has a problem. 2 years ago, Zhang Tai suddenly disappeared and caused a big commotion at the 7 gates. Even the deputy sect leader was alarmed. In the end, Mo Jiren stepped forward and, with the loyalty of rescuing the sect leader Wang Juechu back then, dealt with Zhang Tai's situation, without any involvement of his family or recommenders. This was 2 years ago. Even Han Li vaguely forgot about Zhang Tai, who used to share the same joys and sorrows with Xinzhou Valley. But I never thought Li Feiyu would suddenly mention it at this moment. I never expected that Li Feiyu wants Zhang Tai to cultivate elephant armor skill. Zhang Tai, a child of 12 or 13, dares to wander the world with just 3 levels of cultivation. Dr. Mo's martial arts are obviously extraordinary. I want to learn. Li Feiyu spoke lightly and saw Han Li, who was puzzled, adding. Don't ask me how I know so clearly, at least I am also an outstanding disciple who can enter and exit the 7 Ju Hall. Asking about some secrets is not a big deal. Han Li listened. Although he felt something was wrong, he still felt a bit reasonable. Just Zhang Tai suddenly disappeared, I think it could be another reason. Han Li spoke lightly and said, this martial arts skill is very painful to cultivate. The painkillers I gave you were for him from the beginning. He may be afraid of the upcoming cultivation, that's why. Shoo. A light smile. Han Li frowned displeasedly and looked at Li Feiyu, who was laughing. Li Feiyu smiled and looked at him. No matter how painful or bitter it is, can it still be as powerful as the marrow-pumping pill? This statement came out. Han Li fell silent. Is there a way to get it? Li Feiyu asked after him. He is only concerned about this issue now. Seeing Han Li nod, he breathed a sigh of relief in his heart. Okay, I'll wait for your good news. Wait a moment, I'll go get it for you. Li Feiyu raised an eyebrow unexpectedly and looked at Han Li, who interrupted his words. In order to avoid Han Li from practicing other martial arts, Mo Jiren could not easily show Han Li the martial arts secrets, which means he needs to wait for Han Li to find a chance to get it. He thought he needed some time. After all, Mo Jiren has now descended the mountain. Just didn't expect Han Li agreed so quickly, and it seems like he can easily get it. Quickly, the fierce rain made it clear. Initially, when Zhang Tai was asked to practice, Mo Jiren directly taught the completed techniques. Perhaps because of knowing about cultivating immortals, I no longer place too much emphasis on these mundane skills. Or perhaps it was out of the more Zhang Tai cultivates, the greater the power of refining into a corpse puppet. In short, Zhang Tai, who had completed the martial arts, was hindered by his cultivation and his entire heart was exhausted. He was also worried about omissions and forgetting. Finally, please ask Han Li to help transcribe a copy. Although this transcript is not in Han Li's hands. After practicing Changchun Gong, Han Li the memory is very clear. Write it down again, effortlessly. You can go to the waterfall of Chishui Peak. The rushing water of the waterfall is conducive to the cultivation of elephant armor skill. Wait until the oil lamp lights up. Han Li handed the transcript to Li Feiyu and casually said. He is actually very satisfied with Li Feiyu's clear trading method. Clean and neat. Take what you need from each. I won't suffer any losses myself. That's why I agreed so quickly. However, Han Li still wants to see Li Feiyu eat his belly up. Recalling the past, Zhang Tai was practicing under the waterfall, showing his teeth and grinning. Han Lizai mentioned the situation of Chishui Peak. Li Feiyu felt Han Li's caution and didn't poke it. Just sighing, the human heart is not ancient. Faced with his routine of the past 2 or 3 days, Han Li has made progress too quickly. Li Feiyu remained noncommittal and left with the transcript in hand. Without stopping, he headed back to his own courtyard. Just as he left the mountain pass leading to Xinshou Valley, not long after, the 2 young disciples of the 7 Profound sect exchanged a glance at each other quickly leave. All the way to a brightly lit courtyard. This courtyard is obviously larger in size than a typical disciple courtyard. The 2 of them walked in and saw the young man in brocade, wiping his sword in the courtyard. They quickly and respectfully said, "Young Master Wu." The young man in Jinfu didn't pay attention, just carefully wiped the sword in his hand. This made the 2 disciples feel a wave of slander in their hearts. "You, Wu Yan, only achieved today by marrying Vice Master Ma as a continuation string with your cousin. What is your aura? Speak up." At this moment, Wu Yan finally spoke coldly, but still didn't take a glance at the 2 of them. Li Feiyu really has a problem. It's very likely that he was really injured. He went to Xinshou Valley early in the morning and came out all day long. Yes, when I went there, I was carrying a big bag of things, but when I came out, it was gone. It should have been money or medicinal herbs. I was thinking of asking disciples from the Divine Hand Valley to help heal injuries or refine pills. 2 disciples reported Li Feiyu's whereabouts in detail. Wu Yan listened, a hint of laughter stirred up, and finally looked straight at the 2 disciples. "Well done. Go down and enjoy the reward. Keep an eye on Li Feiyu." Waiting for the 2 to leave. "Li Feiyu, you've given me a chance." Wu Yan completely let go of her smile, with a hint of excitement and resentment in her eyes. Thanks to his cousin's connections, he was able to enter the 7 Mysteries Hall to learn unique skills and even became a disciple of an elder. The younger generation of the 7 Xian men should have been the one who shone brightly. But it was snatched away by Li Feiyu, this silent boy. So. Not only the younger generation is angry, but also the elders and guardians from all walks of life feel ashamed. But there is no other way. Li Feiyu's strength is indeed outstanding. Even the sect leader has noticed and approved the admission to the 7 Ju Hall for learning. No one dares to make mistakes. But this time Wu Yan actually discovered an opportunity. Li Feiyu was also knowledgeable about exchanging blood tonifying pills at the Jubao Hall, and even spent money to make that disciple shut up. Immediately after, Li Feiyu's master Zhao Ping exchanged for Gu Yuan Dan and even asked for Li Feiyu's leave step by step. He became even more suspicious that Li Feiyu had been seriously injured. The situation of running to Xinshou Valley today. In his opinion, it seems more like a confirmed injury. If you are seriously injured, Li Feiyu can't cure it yet. That is a heavenly opportunity to step on the fierce rain and regain one's own glory. Think of this. Wu Yan's body couldn't help but tremble slightly, excited. I wish I could come to challenge Li Feiyu with my sword now. However, he is still calm. Until it is confirmed that Li Feiyu cannot cure serious injuries, he will not act rashly until his martial arts skills decline. Wake up early in the morning. Li Feiyu poured out a red pill and took it orally. This is the 30th day of his journey. 27 days have passed since I received elephant armor skill. At 11 days, both the Gu Yuan Dan and the Bushuan were depleted. He had to go to Xinshou Valley again to see if Han Li had refined pills to replenish qi and blood. The result is good. Han Li has refined 6 bottles of blue blood pill. The efficacy of a blue blood pill is equivalent to 5 bottles of blood tonifying pills. 1 bottle turned out to be 70 taels, and in the end, he said he would do it at a premium, 100 taels per bottle. Buy it all. Even if after buying it, there are only about 100 taels of silver left all over the body. However, this completely established a trading relationship between the 2. Han Li proactively proposed the secret location and contact information for their future transactions. What he is taking now is the blue blood pill. Feel the surging blood and energy all over your body. Just when Li Feiyu thought that there was no change, like a few days ago, a long-lost feeling appeared. Gathering qi and blood. Once again condensed into attribute points. A new day, seeking recommendations, tickets, rewards. Thank you for your support. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Elephant Armor Skill on the 10th Layer. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Elephant Armor Skill on the 10th Layer. Li Feiyu, Level. Martial Arts Master Spirit Root. Wood, False, Gold, Water, Fire, Earth, Age. 14 Shouyuan. 27 Internal Skill. Xingyang Strength, Level 5, External Skill. Elephant Armor Skill, Beginner Level, Martial Arts. Thunderbolt Saber Technique, Perfect, Available Attribute. 1, 30 days. 1 month. 1 attribute. In terms of speed, it seems acceptable. Just. Li Feiyu was clear that he had been taking medicine for the past 30 days. If you don't take medication, you probably don't know how long it will take. At the same time, during these 20+ days, Changchun Gong remains motionless. The elephant armor skill here has started preparing for the first level of cultivation through early training. The most direct manifestation is to appear in the information. In the original work, Zhang Tai spent 2 months cultivating the first layer. In terms of time, there is no significant difference in the corresponding time. Li Feiyu stared at the information in front of him, frowning slightly. 1 attribute point. How to divide it? Choose Elephant Armor Skill as a common and hard skill. Can betting on the unknown increase qi and blood refining? Or choose a spiritual route that may be upgraded, but may not be as easy. After all, according to logic, 1 attribute can be upgraded, and the fake spiritual route can become a real spiritual route, but it only takes a few months. Not very realistic. Li Feiyu thought for a while and quickly made a decision. At the moment of decision, he no longer hesitated for a moment and decisively added more the number changes from 1 to 0 again. And the suffix of Xiangjia Gong has undergone rapid changes, first layer. Second layer. Third layer. In an instant. Countless days and nights of practicing elephant armor skill come to mind in his mind. Day after day, from morning to evening, practicing and resting, then practicing and resting again, continuously practicing elephant armor skill. Like an ascetic monk. Elephant armor skill. From the first layer, the second layer, to the third layer. Li Feiyu's body also began to change. Slender and symmetrical, the muscles on the assembly line are starting to bulge. Height is rising. I was over 1.8 meters tall before, but in the blink of an eye, I was already 2 meters tall. The clothes on my body made a piercing cracking sound. When he opens his eyes, I found myself sweating all over, and my clothes turned into torn beggar clothes. Li Feiyu looked at the large muscles with distinct textures. Even though I was prepared earlier, it still feels strange. After Zhang Tai reached the third level of cultivation, he also became a giant. However, Li Feiyu quickly immersed himself in the joy of the change in his body. Click. The corner of the stone table was easily broken by him. Clench your fist. Wow. Directly turn into powder and fall from the cracks of your fingers. Power. Li Feiyu feels like his whole body is filled with inexhaustible power. My whole body is full of blood and energy. However, the most important thing is 1 attribute point, surprisingly able to cultivate to the third level. It's really an unexpected joy. But that's also true. No matter how miraculous elephant armor skill is, it's just ordinary martial arts. Li Feiyu's mouth curved into a smile. He feels like he made the right choice. The attribute points that have been waiting for a month have allowed the elephant armor skill to breathe, achieving the progress that Zhang Tai earned through 2 years of hard work. Qi and blood have indeed increased by a few points. Follow this rhythm. Prioritizing elephant armor skill can indeed achieve the effect of sharpening the knife does not disappoint the woodcutter. When the time comes, why don't we just add some spiritual roots to enhance it? Think about it, you feel that the future is promising. July. Changchun Gong, still unresponsive. The sense of qi has not yet been generated. Consolidate new attributes once again. About half a day earlier than before. Elephant armor skill has successfully broken through to the 6th level. Li Feiyu has reached a height of 2.2 meters, with well-defined muscles that look like blocks. Sitting there like a little elephant. At this level, you can already take 2 blue blood pills. At the end of August, those who have slightly improved their true qi cannot practice it, those without great perseverance cannot practice it, and those without talent cannot practice it. The blink of an eye sword technique, which is not refined, truly deserves its reputation. I have been practicing for a month for my breath refining skill, cartilage skill, and luo yanbu, but I can only touch the threshold. Han Li, walking in the mountain path, muttered to himself, glanced at the darkened sky, and quickened his pace a bit. Suddenly, he paused in his footsteps and looked towards the direction of Qishui Peak, which was clattering in the distance. A slightly imperceptible frown. It has been over 2 months now, and he has never seen the figure of Li Feiyu at Qishui Peak. Can you see Li Feiyu's grinning in painful expression? Besides, he even suspected a situation. Has Li Feiyu really learned? Zhang Tai has been practicing for 2 months and needs to rely on Qishui Peak to attack the 2nd layer. Li Feiyu has the help of the marrow extraction pill, so it's not that bad. His cultivation progress is even worse than Zhang Tai, right? Shake your head. Han Li restrained his thoughts and continued to move forward. But the footsteps came to a sudden halt. Cartilage skill, Luo Yanbu instantly activated, like a spirit cat, flashing into the bushes. The restrained breathing technique almost stopped his breathing. Don't be nervous, it's just asking you for information. The guild leader won't treat you unfairly. Han Li, who was hiding in the bushes, watched helplessly as 2 figures approached from afar and finally left. Leader. In this hundreds of miles of land, the only one who can be called a gang leader is Jia Tianlong, the leader of the Wild Wolf Gang. It's really intriguing to hear about such a formidable enemy of our sect here. Besides that, he also saw an acquaintance. Previously, he went to the kitchen to buy a rabbit to test the mysterious liquid, and the manager who sold him the rabbit. Han Li squinted his eyes slightly. At the same time, I was a bit excited. 2 months of practice and blinking swordsmanship have indeed given him some skills. So close, neither of them had ever discovered his existence. September. The dog days have passed, and the autumn tiger still makes the weather stuffy and hot. Ha! Accompanied by long exhalations. Sweat dripped continuously from bulging muscles to the ground. Li Feiyu's upper body was bare, and his muscles were like cast iron, reflecting a faint layer of oil under the sunlight. The muscles of the whole body twisted together like iron wires and steel bars, and the surface of the back skin had subtle rope-like patterns emerging, interweaving into a ferocious ghost face. Elephant armor skill level 9. After 3 months of hard work, he finally completed his cultivation of elephant armor skill, his whole body full of blood and energy surging. Just standing in place, like an iron tower, is enough to make people feel intimidated. The fundus of the eye sank slightly, and a black line appeared before my eyes. Li Feiyu, level. Huajing spirit root. Wood, false, gold, water, fire, earth, age. 14 Shouyuan. 27 internal skill. Xingyang strength, level 5, external skill. Elephant armor skill, level 9, martial arts. Thunderbolt Saber Technique, perfect, available attribute. 0, Looking at the attributes in front of him, Li Feiyu raised his eyebrows and a hint of surprise appeared. Elephant armor skill only has 9 layers, but now it still has a red plus suffix at the end. Does this mean can we still upgrade? The 9th layer of elephant armor skill has already elevated his level to the legendary realm of ordinary warriors. If he were to be further elevated, isn't it possible to transform into immortality? The cultivation method to become a body cultivator. Li Feiyu pursed her lips. Her still delicate face exudes a touch of longing and anticipation. Unfortunately, the blue blood pill has also been used up, and there is no holiday left. Otherwise, I will definitely endure for another 20 days and see how the 10th layer of elephant armor skill is. Li Feiyu shook his head with some regret in the end. Dudu. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. Li Feiyu glanced at the sky and raised an eyebrow unexpectedly. This is not the delivery time, who is looking for him? Do you have any recommended tickets? Tickets, hungry, end of this chapter. Chapter 10. I would like to ask Senior Brotherly for some advice. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. I would like to ask Senior Brotherly for some advice. Who? Li Feiyu's voice was low and deep. During these days, he had his miscellaneous disciples deliver meals and daily necessities to the door. As for why? He doesn't want to attract too much attention until his body shape changes too much and he has completed his cultivation. For example, Zhaoping, why bother this teacher and father again? Senior Brotherly, we are here on the order of young Master Wu. Outside the door, there was a commotion. Young Master Dance. Dancing Rock. Li Feiyu raised his eyebrows. Something unexpected. He and Wu Yan have had no conflicts except for the size competition in the door. Endless. What the hell is Wu Yan doing? Speak up. Yes, Senior Brotherly. The person outside the door, listening to Li Feiyu's words, dared not neglect them and quickly spoke up. Young Master Wu heard that Senior Brotherly needed a pill to replenish qi and blood, and also occasionally obtained a holy item in the world. He specifically asked us to send it to show our fellow disciples concern. Upon hearing this, Li Feiyu grinned. He doesn't know what medicine is sold in the Wuyan gourd, he only understands sleepy, someone has brought a pillow. He just unfortunately lacked the elixir to replenish qi and blood, so he couldn't continue to shut down and attack the 10th layer of elephant armor skill. I never thought of it. Someone has brought it here, or is it a sacred item in the world? Put down the things, people can leave now. Li Feiyu spoke lightly, without any intention of further entanglement, to avoid wasting time. Ah. Here, okay. The disciple outside the door was not so willing. After a while, he continued, Senior Brotherly, if you're not feeling well, what else do you need? Just speak up, young Master Wu. Get lost. Yes, yes. Seeing the anxious and fearful response outside the door, he left. Indeed, it is the shadow of a tree, the name of a person, and the bandit name Li Hu, which allows me to directly scare away incoming people. What a world of the jungle. Li Feiyu swung his arm and made a clicking sound, moving his muscles and bones as he walked over. Open the door. Extend your hand. Close the door. 6 small porcelain vases on the ground were grabbed by him with one hand. Not only has the body size become huge, but the palm has also become a true fan hand. Pulling out one of the bottle stoppers, Li Feiyu took a light sniff and was overjoyed. The holy artifact of the world sent by Wu Yan is exactly the blue blood pill. In this way, he doesn't have to worry, the other party is tampering with the pill. In this world, besides Hanli, he probably understands the medicinal properties of the blue blood pill the most. Pour out 3 capsules with a click and swallow them down. We have reached the 9th floor. He can already refine 3 blue blood pills. Qi and blood surge, accumulating strength in the heart, preparing for the next consolidation into attributes. Waiting to calm down. Li Feiyu opened his eyes and flashed a hint of perseverance. The 9th level of elephant armor skill has made him one of the strongest ordinary warriors. You can now disperse your energy. He needs to abandon the power brought by the marrow-pumping pill and bring back some Shouyuan. Waste, didn't even see anyone. Wu Yan frowned in displeasure and cursed loudly. Meanwhile, the heart is dripping blood. That was bought at a high price with his words. If it weren't for the idea of reluctant to part with children and unable to tame wolves, he would like to see the situation of Li Feiyu in 3 months. He doesn't want to take it out. Result. Playing with a bamboo basket is nothing. Just give it away for free. The disciple lowered his head and dared not speak, but cursed loudly in his heart, that's Li Hu. How dare I contradict you? You're so powerful, why don't you go in person? Thinking about the same thing in his heart, he quickly said, Master Wu, I can't do anything about it either. However, I have tested it with words, and I asked him if he was feeling unwell and what medicine he needed. Li Feiyu shouted directly, let me go. It seems like I'm getting angry from embarrassment. Wu Yan listened and frowned, taking a glance. After a while, he came up with a solution. His vacation is over, in a few days, I'll find an opportunity to force him out and perform field work. I must see what's going on with you, Li Feiyu. Young master dance is brilliant. October 25th. Li Feiyu, level. Huajing spirit root. Wood, false, gold, water, fire, earth, age. 14 Shouyuan. 37 external skill. Elephant armor skill, 9th level, martial skill. Thunderbolt saber technique, perfect, available attribute. 1. Compared to the previous 30 days, it has condensed its attributes. After reaching the 9th level of elephant armor skill, it only took 25 days, which shortened the time by 5 days. In these 25 days, he also successfully dissipated his energy, increasing his lifespan by 10 years. The damage of the marrow extracting pill is too great. Li Feiyu shook his head slightly. No further entanglement. Successfully dispersing the energy and dismantling this time bomb is also good. Otherwise, if the damage continues, it may lead to further loss. His gaze fell on the red plus sign after the elephant armor skill. Hush. The words 9th layer have been transformed into breaking limits, returning to simplicity. In an instant, Li Feiyu felt his body heating up, burning hot, and his muscles shaking wildly. Compress, squeeze. The armored block-like muscles have transformed into a symmetrical assembly line. In the blink of an eye, Li Feiyu seems to have shrunk and returned to its former state. Under the sunshine, the shirtless body reflects white light like a piece of white jade. Li Feiyu opened his eyes, feeling the density and strength in the deep layers of his muscles, and then looked at his attributes after elephant armor skill. There will be no more red plus signs. Ordinary martial arts cannot be transformed into the forging technique of a body refiner. However, there are also benefits. Li Feiyu feels that his qi and blood are more pure, which may help to condense his attributes and reduce the time by about a day. Make it clear. Change into clothes that were previously suitable. The figure in the mirror has a more upright and symmetrical figure, slender limbs, and a handsome temperament with calmness. However, Li Feiyu's thoughts had already flown away. Nearly 4 months. Elephant armor skill has reached 10 levels, but Changchun's skill remains motionless. Han Li's original work gave birth to a sense of vitality in 3 months. It can be seen that his initial judgment was correct. Fake heavenly spirit root is not as effective as fake force spirit root. I'm afraid it can only be separated from the 5 elements of spiritual roots. Get out of the house. Li Feiyu looked at the clear and cloudless sky, intending to go out for a walk and breathe some air. Nearly 4 months of seclusion. It's not because of cultivating immortality. Li Feiyu needs to slow down a bit. On the side of the outer Blade Hall, we also need to sign in, and on the side of Master Zhao Ping walking on the way to the outer Blade Hall. Many disciples greeted each other. The fact that he has been in seclusion for almost 4 months is obviously still known by many people, and his eyes seem to carry a lot of surprises. It seems unexpected that he suddenly left the border. Senior Brother Li. Suddenly, a shout rang out on the mountain road. The tone is different from other disciples, with a hint of excitement. Li Feiyu glanced at a young man in brocade wearing a long sword, with a hint of joy in his eyes, and strode towards him. Following behind are 2 or 3 dog legs. Dancing Rock. Level. Beginner in the martial arts world, Spirit Root. None, Age. 17, Shouyuan. 63, Internal Skill. Berserker Python Force, Level 4, Martial Arts. Dancing Family Sword Technique. Thinking about the blue blood pill that the other party had recently sent, Li Feiyu stopped curiously. Wu Yan strode over and stared at Li Feiyu, his joy at the sight of the game becoming even brighter. Really, the report from my subordinates is true. As soon as Li Feiyu left, he received a message that he was happy and didn't need to force himself into such trouble. The other party took the initiative to leave. Besides, I also learned about a situation Li Feiyu's skill has decreased. Those who have mastered the Xinjiang strength of the 7 Xianmen sect all have one characteristic. Swollen temples. The more swollen it is, the greater the success of cultivation. So, when Wu Yan saw the swelling of Li Feiyu's temples disappear, even just like an ordinary person, he became increasingly excited. My own pills are not for free. Li Feiyu was indeed seriously injured and his skills have greatly decreased. Senior Brother Li, I have made some progress recently and would like to ask for your advice. Wu Yan spoke loudly, revealing the long-prepared draft in her heart. Words fall. All the disciples around stopped their steps, looking surprised and surprised. How dare Wu Yan provoke the notorious Li Hu? Are you okay? On a new day, I am looking for recommended tickets. Thank you. End of this chapter.